In a busy city, inside a grand restaurant, a single moment changed everything. A black waiter, a rude customer, and a billionaire who witnessed it all. This is the story of how one man's dignity turned into his destiny. The Grand Palace restaurant was the kind of place where wealthy businessmen, politicians, and celebrities often dined. Golden chandeliers sparkled above polished marble floors, and the sound of cutlery blended with soft piano music in the background amidst. This luxury, James moved quickly from table to table, balancing trays with elegance. He was only 25, yet his eyes carried the weight of years. James smiled at every customer, not because life was kind to him, but because he had learned that his smile was his shield. Behind that smile was a story of struggle, rejection, and survival. He often whispered to himself while serving, "Patience, James. One day, things will change." That evening, as the restaurant buzzed with life, a foreign couple entered. The man wore an expensive Italian suit, his watch glinting under the chandelier light. The woman carried herself with arrogance, her heels clicking against the marble. As if announcing their superiority, James, professional as always, walked over with a polite bow. "Good evening, sir, ma'am. Welcome to the Grand Palace. May I take your order?" The woman gave a half smile, but the man's eyes scanned James with a mixture of disdain and amusement. Without replying to James, the man leaned toward his wife and began speaking in fluent German. "Look at the waiter, he surely doesn't even know what we are saying." They both chuckled, shaking their heads. James heard every word. He had grown used to insults, but tonight it cut deeper. He stood silently, keeping his fake smile, while the couple continued to mock him in a language they assumed he could never understand. Inside, James's heart whispered, "Why do people still judge me by my skin? Why can't they see who I really am?" As James walked back toward the kitchen, memories flooded his mind. He grew up in a small neighborhood where opportunities were rare. His mother, a strong woman with tired hands, worked 2 cleaning jobs to keep food on the table. James had always been brilliant in school. While other kids played, he loved books. He was fascinated by languages, English, French, and especially German. His teacher once told him, "James, you have a gift. Someday this talent will take you far." But life had other plans. His mother fell ill, bills piled up, and James had to abandon college. Dreams of studying abroad vanished. To support his family, he became a waiter. Yet, even as he carried trays and wiped tables, a fire still burned in him. He never forgot the languages he learned. Back at the couple's table, their voices grew louder. The woman glanced at James and muttered in German, "He looks so uneducated." Her husband smirked. Yes, probably just another nobody. James clenched his fist around his notepad. His dignity was aching, but his patience held him together. He reminded himself, "Don't let anger destroy you. Show them who you are." When the food was ready, James carefully placed their dishes on the table. The couple continued talking in German, laughing quietly at him, and then James looked at them directly, took a deep breath, and in perfect German said, "Excuse me, please. Here is your food. If you need anything else, let me know." The restaurant fell silent. Forks froze mid-air. Glasses stopped clinking. The couple's faces turned pale, as if blood had drained out of them. The man stammered, switching to English. You speak German?" James gave a calm, confident smile. "Yes, sir. Quite fluently. I studied it for years. In fact, I can also translate for you if needed." A soft murmur of admiration spread through the restaurant. Other diners nodded with respect. The couple, humiliated and embarrassed, lowered their eyes, unable to say another word. At a corner table, a distinguished man had been silently watching the entire scene. His hair was silver, his tailored suit simple but elegant. He was Richard Coleman, a billionaire known for his empire in international business. Richard had seen arrogance many times in his life, but what he had just witnessed impressed him deeply. James's composure, his humility, and his courage to respond with intelligence instead of anger, he thought to himself. This young man has something rare, dignity and brilliance hidden behind humility. He just needs an opportunity. After finishing his meal, Richard signaled James to come over. Richard, your name is James, correct? James, nervous. Yes, sir. How may I assist you? Richard smiled kindly. I don't need service. I just want to ask you something. How did you learn German? James hesitated, then shared his story. His mother's struggles, his abandoned education, his love for languages, and how life had pushed him into waiting tables instead of pursuing his dreams. Richard listened intently, his eyes soft with admiration. Richard, James, do you realize what you did today? You stood tall in the face of humiliation. That requires not just intelligence, but character. And character is priceless. James lowered his head, his throat tight with emotion. When Richard finished dining, he quietly paid his bill and left. Minutes later, James returned to clear the table, only to find an envelope placed neatly where Richard had been sitting. Curious, he opened it. Inside was a plane ticket to Germany and a handwritten note. James, you are more than what the world sees. Your knowledge, your patience, and your strength are worth far more than this job. This ticket is for Germany. I will sponsor your studies and living expenses. You deserve to fulfill your dreams. Never let the world define your worth by your skin color. Richard Coleman. James's hands trembled. His vision blurred with tears. He pressed the note to his chest and whispered, "Is this real? Is my life about to change?" That night, James rushed home and showed the note and ticket to his mother. His mother's eyes filled with tears. She held his face in her hands. "My son, I always told you that you were destined for greatness. It has sent an angel to help you. Go, James. Fly. Make your dreams come true." For the first time in years, James cried freely, not from pain, but from hope. Weeks later, James boarded a plane to Germany. The same country whose language had once been used to humiliate him would now become the land of his opportunity. In Germany, James studied business and languages. He excelled. Professors admired his brilliance. Classmates respected his humility. And through it all, Richard Coleman remained his mentor, guiding him like a father figure. Years passed. James not only built a successful career, but also started a foundation called Equal Voices. Its mission, to provide education and opportunities for underprivileged youth, especially those judged by color or background. James's journey teaches us something powerful. Never judge a person by their skin, their job, or their background. True greatness lies within character, knowledge, and resilience. Sometimes all it takes is one person to believe in you. One chance to turn humiliation into triumph. James was once mocked for being a black waiter, but because of his dignity and strength, he became a symbol of hope for thousands. Respect everyone, because greatness has no color.